pmnation.com.
All right, so this morning, walking into the studio, I pull up, and right on the sidewalk out front, two big balls of black fur and long tails, screeching talons and teeth, going at it. They're having a battle right in front of me. I'm not saying that, right? I'm not saying rat wars. I'm certain they could have been river otters, right? Couldn't they be?
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Good morning. Hey, it's Brian. And if you're new to All Natural Being, the show, I want you to know that I am passionately dedicated, wholeheartedly committed to one thing. I spend most of my days and my evenings thinking about you, and sometimes the people kind of circling around you, right? And if you've been with me before, you can rest assured that my enthusiasm for unearthing who you actually are, right? Not all the press clippings, not all the baggage, but who you actually are, hasn't wavered a bit since last time. And now we're in like day 6. We're like day 10 of doing our little show here each morning. And I wanted you to know that I'm as committed to it now as I was. Probably should be committed. But I am committed to it now as I was day one. And as you know, I'm not interested, nor should you be, in the watered down, inauthentic, herd approved version of you. Who wants that for themselves? You're a force of nature. Why live a farce of a life? We're talking about the real you, the true you, the all-natural you at your core, the intrinsic, organic perfection that is you, just waiting to be unleashed. So enough head games. Come on. No more brainwashing. No more blind spots. No more amnesia. No more taking a back seat to anybody. You deserve to live life at the pinnacle, whatever pinnacle you define. You were born fully capable of leading a truly spectacular life. It's my job to remind you of that each and every day. That's the line of work I've chosen, to turbocharge your brain, to prime your mind for the moment at hand, and to get a hold of your head before the day does, right? Before the herd does. And I believe that's important because the key, the one and only key, to personal happiness, spiritual fulfillment, and professional success is to recall, revive, and release your inner superhuman, your all-natural being, to unleash the myriad natural resources that are hardwired within you. No more masquerading, no more hiding, no more living your life with the free will of a piece of tumbleweed. If you choose to hang out for the show, right? There was a warning at the very beginning. Was it like a philosophical loofah? Some people, we'll get to that in a minute, it's like a philosophical punch in the face. If you choose to hang out, your days of surrender are over. No more self-imposed barriers. They're gone. Personal limitations fabricated out of fear, out of here. Hobbled soul, history. Because it's time for you to finally, once and for all, unleash your inner superhuman. All right, so let's get to it. You know, this would be a good stage, a good point in the show. If you were going to offer an apology, right, this would be a good place to do it. So for all the people that have tuned in, waiting to hear an apology, because yesterday I had 300 or 400 different spiritual gymnastics, right, psychological structures, scientific scaffolding that we use to escape, right? To stay disconnected from whom we ultimately are. You know, I had someone say, well, you know, Bri, I practiced that particular thing you had on your list yesterday, and I didn't appreciate you disparaging it. So, right? Just because let me be the first to say, no charge, right? That's my gig. If your sense of self is so precariously perched that me mentioning your particular type of spiritual voodoo, your particular type of philosophical escapism that you use to keep from being enchanted with who you already are, let me just stop patting myself on the back here long enough to say your skin may just be a teeny tiny bit too thin, right? There was a warning at the beginning of the show. So, job well done, Brian. Look, here's the scoop. I'm simply suggesting, right, that for 20 minutes, every so often, give yourself a break. Remember who you are. Outside of all the gymnastics, right, outside of all the jungle gyms we put ourselves through so that we can feel connected, not only with ourselves, but the sense of the universe as a whole. Get off your own back. Remember who you are. Be happy with what you already have, what you've already achieved, that you're here in the first place. It's my opinion. The divine is not impressed, right, with all the running around, and neither should you be. All right, so this was kind of interesting to me, and I want to just kind of throw it out there because yesterday I posted a question, right? I like to come in, as you know, they're baked fresh every morning. I come in kind of early. I'm like the guy in the old, was it Dunkin' Donuts? The old commercial, the baker, time to make the donuts. I made the donuts, right? But I get in nice and early, and I do what I can to create the early morning meme. I want to do it fresh each day. That said, from time to time, I like to throw out some questions the night before on Facebook just to see what people have to say about what I'm going to be talking about the next morning, right? So last night I asked them, because this morning's early morning meme is that you purchase mindfulness with your attention. No more hooey, no more hocus pocus, no more trashing your knees, right? No more pain in that small in the back when you've been hanging out for longer than possibly your body wants to. No more hooey, no more hocus pocus. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness, if you could describe mindfulness in one word, it would be attention. That's it. And technically, when you think about it, just kind of dawned on me, you know, it's big now. We'll teach you mindfulness. Or it's, businesses all over the country. Well, we need to slap some couches in the break room, let people sit around. We need them, we need a mindfulness routine. Technically, escaping all the mashugana, which really has become my favorite word. It just has, right? Escaping all the insanity. It should be called mindlessness, not mindfulness. But I guess if you try to sell a course on mindlessness, people aren't going to be all that fired up, right? Do you know what I mean? So it should be mindlessness that we're gunning for. We can quiet our mind, right? We're the one with the remote control. We can turn it down. So we'd be should be looking for mindlessness, because that's the definition of what it takes of dovetailing your heart with your head. All right, so back to yesterday's question. I asked people to define for me. Here was the quote that I put up. I put, fear is blank. And I want to thank everybody for all the answers. One of the ones that I got just really fascinated me. They said that fear is the unknown. Fear, think about that. Fear is the unknown. So if life is the unknown, and we believe fear is the unknown, then life is fear? That's a very interesting way of looking at it. Life is fear. Okay, well, let's imagine for a moment that life isn't fear, right? Let's imagine for a moment. Let me see. The other day, my youngest son ran towards the back porch door because there were two doves sitting on the ledge, right? Two birds sitting on the ledge out back. And as he started to move towards the door, These two doves must have sensed it in some way. Maybe I don't know, maybe they could see him out of the corner of their dove eyes, or I don't know what they do, right? But as he started to move towards the door, they both flew away instantly. So if you're a dove, I guess you could say your life equals fear, right? Fear of the unknown. They didn't know what was running at them. Maybe they thought it was a predator bird. Maybe a hawk was coming. All I'm suggesting is let's not be bird-brained. If a dove lives in a constant state of fear, you are gifted, right? Big bang or big breath, divine, however you define it, gifted with a human brain, a human mind. Underlying operating system, right, doesn't need to be fear. So when we look at the definition of true mindlessness, one of the things we can do away with is this concept of fear. Oh, it's natural to be afraid. No, it isn't. It may be normal to be afraid. Now, as always, a little bit of the disclaimer. Am I saying that I'm encouraging people to run with scissors or cross the street without looking both ways? No. I'm simply saying that our underlying operating system isn't fear. Don't be a bird. And as I say that, we talk all the time about synchronicity, about how things happen in the moment to show you that you're on the right or left turn within the labyrinth. My friend Mike Kaplan, meteorologist at Fox here in Chicago, posts a picture this morning. He took a great picture, but it's a picture of the common loon. So all I'm saying is the next time someone says, well, an underlying operating system in the human mind needs to be fear, don't be a common loon. Don't be a pigeon brain, right? So here it is for me. Fear is boring. It's beneath you, right? The things we fear, again, I'm not talking about the cataclysmic, right? But most of the fears that we embrace, well, that's it. We embrace them. We embrace them. So let's not embrace them. Let's not be bird-brained. Let's think about it just for a moment. What are some of the fears that we have? If we could be truly mindless, what fears could we start to peel away, right now? Peel them away. Like a little bit of, like we said in the open, a philosophical loofah for your soul. What fears in your life could you start to carve away now, right? Just to kind of abandon. As I said in an email responding back to someone that was offended by my riff yesterday, which, if you weren't here, you can go back to ipmnation.com/Brian Brawdy, and they post down below. You can see the different, I think it's entitled Bolo, but in any event, yesterday's date, you'll see the show there, and you can listen to it if you like. But the list of things that I put out, I was responding back in an email. Only the offendable can be offended, right? Only the fearful can be scared. So instead of creating a laundry list of all the things that you're afraid of, I would suggest don't be a common loon. I would suggest starting with an eraser, right? Eraser at the end of a number 2 pencil. If you have them written down anywhere, start to erase some of those fears, right? Start your day to day, or whenever you get a chance to listen to this, start your next 20 minutes going, all right, I got 17 basic fears. What would it take to drop that list to 16, right? Baby steps that we always talk about. What would it take to drop that list to only 16 fears? And then tomorrow, everything working good, right? We'll come back and we'll drop it from 16 to 15, or maybe 15 to 12. Maybe we can take a big leap. But the key, and why we call it elite mindfulness, isn't very glitzy, isn't going to sell many books, I guess. But the truth is, it's mindlessness that we need. our minds perfectly comfortable with all of our binge thinking.
Oh, I don't know, Brian. I got a lot of fears on my list.
Great, groovy. We're just going to erase them one at a time. Clearly, they've helped you at some part. They've gotten you to this stage. Now we thank them, right, for kind of watching out for us, protecting us. But we'd like to drive now, right? You ever go on a long-distance trip with your friend, your spouse, significant other, whatever, and after a while you go, I'm tired of being in the passenger seat. Let me drive for a little while. That's all I'm suggesting. All right, we're going to run. We'll be right back.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. How much longer will you let them hijack your head and your heart?
All right, there you go. How much longer? Great question to ask yourself. All the common loons, all the pigeons, all the bird brains in our lives, right? Ourselves included. How much longer? Because it's easy to point the finger outside and go,
Well, she's hijacking my heart and my head. Oh, I don't know. He does it to me every time.
No. We do it. We give them the permission, right? No one's forced them to open the door to our cockpit. We give them permission. Come in. Yeah, take the stick, take the steering wheel, take the controls. I'm going to go back and check if there's anything in the, on the lunch cart. Well, don't do it. Don't do it. The key to elite mindfulness is mindlessness. And a part of mindlessness is making sure that you decide. One of the emails I got yesterday about, not all advice is bad. Well, that's why we call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. All I'm suggesting is you listen to the advice, don't own it right away, and then decide if it benefits you. And by that, right, the benefit does allow you to tap in to your all-natural being to help you further release your inner superhuman, right? The organic you, the pesticide-free, additive-free, right? No food coloring you, just the organic you. Make a list of those things that you think you could erase, that you could do away with. What would they be? If you could have a goal to be truly mindless by the end of the 20 minutes, what would you put on that list? What would you try to erase? What would you say? Okay, I think I could do this. I think I could be mindless. At the end of this 20 minutes, what would you pare away? What would you get rid of? Because there's a lot. There's all kinds of things out there that are lining up to make sure we listen to their points of view. So all I'm saying, let's practice a little mindlessness. And then let the chips fall where they may. And as always, again, if you're new to the show, if you've been with me for the beginning, we're talking 20 minutes, 1/72 of your day. Which reminds me, not too long ago, I went for a run. And as I started out, probably like a quarter mile into the run, I don't run all that far, but I started out into the run, and there was a couple pennies on the ground. I look down, I see them. I don't think much about it, so I just keep on moving. Then I noticed a few more yards down the road, there's another penny. And then a couple more, and a couple more. It's like all my mind could see, apparently, was pennies. So it's a double back course, right? I run out a certain distance, turn around, come back, and try to squeeze it into a time frame. Over the course of my jog, honest to goodness, I found 37 cents. 37 cents. Now, there was a dime and a nickel in there, but there was still 22 pennies. All right? So I brought them back, rinsed them off. I got this little cup on the sink, rinsed them off, and I tossed them into the change jar. I got this little glass jar, right? And as I'm finished kind of patent drying them, getting ready to leave them in, it makes me think, I hear these stories all the time that the U.S. and other governments around the world, we're going to do away with the pennies. They're a nuisance. And as currencies go, well, they've really become obsolete. Many people just find them a pain to deal with, right? You got a pocket full of pennies, pulling your jeans down, making your purse feel more like a kettlebell, I guess. And maybe that's why I found this small haul of the paltry little penny, just looking at the little Lincoln head sitting there staring back at me. Maybe that's why I found 22 that one day, because everyone's busy tossing them out the window. They're just pennies, right? Too insignificant to carry around and be bothered with. They're a waste. 86 of them. With the economies around the world, when you total them all up, valued in trillions of dollars, what's a handful of copper gonna do for anybody? So I'm sitting there now staring at the jar, and I thought about how sometimes I do it, you may do it, I'm learning to try to be better at it, but we do the same thing when it comes to little chunks of time. Individual minutes, right? Like the Lincoln heads. Well, Bri, they're a bit too insignificant. We got plenty of them. So why get worked up? Why get into a lather, right? About tossing away a few minutes here and there. If you equate it to pennies, what can you buy with 1 cent, right? What can you accomplish in one moment? 60 seconds. What can you do with it? Too trivial. Total up to much. If I blow this one, there are plenty others out there. In time's ultimate currency of eons, what's a handful of minutes going to matter in the grand scheme of things? Given their obvious irrelevance, who really cares? That is, until we honestly calculate the power of this particular moment, the energy behind this now in all of time. We talked yesterday, I think it was, about individual snowflakes eventually leading to avalanches or individual drops of rain, right? 326, ready for this? 326 million trillion gallons of water on the face of the earth, all the oceans. Seems tiny, doesn't it? One little drop, one little moment, one little penny. What can it truly matter? Why are you getting yourself all worked up? It's because the pint-sized in our life is just the prodigious in waiting. You know, as the novelist Andre Gide put it, or as I like to call him, Giddy. As the novelist Andre Gide put it, gradation, and then a sudden leap. So let's forget the back-breaking, passion-siphoning, this urban myth of, well, you're going to have 10,000 hours in order to gain mastery of an ability. You can begin right now, in this 20 minutes, this 1/72nd of your overall day, to make a substantial change, to make huge progress in your life. Right? Because these handful of moments are the paths to the mega in our lives. I don't know if for those of you that may not remember, but Stevie Ray Vaughan, great musician, he has a song, one of my favorite. It's called Life by the Drop. Right? Life by the Drop. An ode to pennies, to drops, and to individual moments everywhere. Whatever you desire, whatever grabs your spine, in that moment, why not treat yourself? Don't toss it like, it's not going to total up to much. Embrace your endeavor, your time in the labyrinth. Right then, do your thing. Go wild. Because the monumental is nothing more than a collection, right, of the minutes at hand. And when you reorient yourself, right, when you change, we talk about paradigm shifts. Well, how about this paradigm shift? Treat the pennies like they could be something big. Treat the present moment like it could be something big, because it is. Right? It is. Forget all the experts, everyone else saying, well, that won't work. You have to have huge goals. Set out on the horizon. You got to have a plan. We're not arguing that, right? If you're not willing to set that aside, then the show isn't for you. I'm suggesting 20 minutes, 1/72nd of your day. Count the small, tiny, right? Because the minuscule builds into the mega in our life. Good and bad. All right, let me see if I can squeeze this in before the bottom of the hour. Imagine you go to the grocery store and you buy a bunch of bananas, right? You're holding the bananas. Or you buy a grapefruit, let's say. You hold a grapefruit. How much can a grapefruit weigh, right? Not much. Not much. So I ask you to take that grapefruit and hold it out, right? Just extend it, put it in the palm of your hand, hold your arm out to your side. Right? This little old grapefruit, bunch of bananas, whatever you got. Doesn't weigh very much. Until like a minute in. Then maybe 2 minutes in, you start to feel a little bit of the burning. 3 minutes in, your muscle maybe starts to shake a little bit. Then after 4 or 5 minutes, you're like, oh man, that's kind of aching, and you're adjusting your entire body to go ahead and accommodate this one little grapefruit. Then you get to 10 minutes in, and it's just like terrorizing you, right? You're like, when can I drop my arm? When can I drop my arm? This grapefruit, it weighs like it's got the weight of the moon. When you look at all the negative in our lives, these little tiny moments, the good and the bad is we hold on to them. They start to pile up. They start to get heavy. We start to sweat under all this excess baggage. As I said in an email to another person yesterday, as I peel, as I suggest and try to help you peeling away some of those things, think of me as like a bellman, right? You check into a hotel. I'll walk up to you and go, excuse me, ma'am, can I carry those bags for you? All right. Sir, how about I put those bags on we have a rolling luggage cart. I'll take them up to your room. I'll meet you up there, right? I suggest, let me handle the baggage for a little bit. You start to peel away those negative thoughts, right? Now, on the positive side, as you peel away those negative thoughts, but you're still holding on to those pennies, those drops, living life by the drop, those moments that mean something to you. Now, the scales go the other way, right? You're tossing all the minuscule that isn't supporting you, isn't allowing you to touch your all-natural being, right? Isn't allowing you to release your inner superhuman. And as you do that, the scale goes the other way, right? Now you'll have all the cool things happening, the mystery of the moment at hand, the truly unimaginable power that bubbles up from within you. It's not exterior to you, right? Bubbles up from within you when you stay in the present moment. So all the hooey, we're going to give a mindfulness class. No, mindlessness class. Drop the grapefruit, drop the bananas, keep the things that will work, right? Because that minuscule, good or bad, totals up to be something pretty big, depending upon how long we hold on to it. So if you have a list of things that are holding you back, you have these negative thoughts, you have maybe some negative relationships, right? Hear all the time, it's a very toxic relationship. Well, it takes two to toxic, right? It's only toxic because you let yourself be treated like a pincushion. Stop accepting pins. Closed for lunch, right? Out of service. No more pins today on this cushion. Then accept those moments, those drops, those pennies, the minuscule that really means something to your heart. That's the key, right? Keep out the craziness. Allow in the cognitively beneficial. There's your gig, right? Mindlessness. Ignore the crazy. Keep the nurturing. And pay attention to what's going on in this little sliver of time. Because whether you want to abandon some things on your list, makes it a good bit easier if they're just small and minuscule, right? If you want to add some cool things to your list, and you go, I don't know if that'll work, then give me a 20-minute victory. Remember, I say all the time, I'm on your side, even when you're not. I know you're worth a 20-minute victory. I know you're worth it. So give yourself permission within this 20 minutes, right? Mindlessness. Focus on the minuscule right under your nose, right under your feet, right under your hand. Leave the horizons for someone else, and you focus on that very energy. And as you do this, you're going to start to feel it bubble up within you. Ignore the critics. Give yourself that little bit of a care package, right? Give yourself that 20 minutes, and you and I both know you're going to be very happy that you did. All right? Let's give this a shot. We'll be back in, like 13 seconds, it looks like.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Because friends don't let friends fall for self-help industry tactics.
All right, so if you've been hanging out with me for a while or you're new to All Natural Being, you're listening to us on IPMNation.com. I suspect you know that, right? There's our station identifier break, Bri. Very important to be able to sneak those in. IPMNation.com/Brian Brawdy. If you've been listening, you know I'm not a huge fan of self-help industry tactics, clearly, right? I'm throwing the new brainchild of all these people, mindfulness.
Oh, Brian, it's been around for thousands of years. How can you be slamming mindfulness?
Let me just say, keep the hate mail coming, right? Helps me thicken my skin every time. Wouldn't be cool if I said, well, you got to take, these pins. They'll help thicken your skin. Yeah, continue to throw me under the bus. You should read some of the stuff that's said about me on Facebook and Twitter. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. All right. Here's what I thought we could focus on the second half hour. Any of you familiar with the poet Jack Gilbert? Just an absolutely brilliant poet. Fortunately, he died not too long ago. And in one of his poems, I don't know where it was from. I think it may have been Heaven Abandoned. He has this term that I really like. The ruthless furnace of this world. The ruthless furnace of this world. Or as I like to reframe it, right? Fate. Fate, the Minotaur, waiting for you in the labyrinth. Waiting to do what it can to derail you from fulfilling your destiny. Right? We talk in the open about how I focus on you and also those objects, those satellites circling, like in concentric circles, circling around you. You got to watch. Some of these, they're like little, when you get a powder or some electronics, some high-end electronics, they have those little packets of desiccant that are designed to suck all the moisture out into, or like if you drop a piece of electronics in the water, you put them in, you get back as fast as you can, you put them in rice, and the rice tends to draw the moisture out of them. We're all subject, these little walking, talking packets of philosophical desiccant, right? They hate, just like fate, they hate fully hydrated souls. They don't want us remembering who we are, right? They're perfectly happy with us being parched, thirsty. Oh, I'm dehydrated, right? They want us to turn to them and go, oh, man, can I have a sip of that? Oh, please, I'm dying of thirst over here. Could you give me something to drink? Right? They want us subjugated to their water. And you fill in the they, right? No big conspiracy theory here. You know who I'm talking about. The people that want to suck the life right out of you. What was it? Al Pacino in one of the, like Godfather, maybe 10, 11, 12, whatever it was. He's standing in the kitchen. He goes, every time I get out, they pull me right back in. You know who I'm talking about. Those people, extended family members, whoever they are, co-workers, these walking, talking packets of philosophical desiccant, right? They want you dehydrated. Misery loves company. Well, don't fall for it. Don't accept the desiccant. Don't be dehydrated. Remember who we ultimately are. He's got another great line. We must unlearn the constellations. And again, Jack Gilbert. We must unlearn the constellation in order to be able to see the stars. Right? No more templates. No more committee votes. No more people telling you. No more packets of desiccant going, this is how you should live your life. Don't even listen to me. I'm asking you to give yourself 20 minutes and see if this stuff works for you. Right? See if you finally reach that time in your life when you're ready to treat yourself the way you know you deserve to be treated. So all these people, well, you have to do this or you have to do that. Unlearn the constellations, as Mr. Gilbert said, so that you can see the stars. Right? Don't take anybody else's roadmap. Success, fulfillment, happiness. You're the roadmap. I think back to like the legend of King Arthur. Remember that? Running around, he's like a teenage guy. Him and Merlin are hanging out, talking about, how the world works. And he goes, hey, by the way, there's a sword over here in the stone. Whoever gets to pull the sword out, that was meant to be. He becomes the king of England. So all these other people are trying. I think there's a list of people that try. I don't know how long it goes on. But Arthur goes up and looks at it and goes, that don't look all that tough to me. Give me the hilt of that sword. And whoo, pulls it right out. You are one big, mysterious bag of buried treasure. There's a sword waiting for you that only you can remove from the stone. Now, you may not be a fan of mythology, right? I was kind of very early age in my search, hooked on Joseph Campbell, right? So the Arthurian legend may not work for you, right? But your natural resources that we talk about, I call it like your buried logic, your authentic figure, it's unique to you. It's a sword only you can pull from the stone. And you're going to need that sword, right? When it comes, if you allow me to blend myths, we'll go back to Theseus and Ariadne hanging out trying to figure out how to beat the Minotaur in the labyrinth, right? You're going to need your unique sword. You're going to need your authentic, organic abilities to confront fate in the labyrinth, to beat the Minotaur. Look, life is a scavenger hunt, right? If we treat it like that, if we truly adopt this concept of mindlessness, all we're going to focus on is the scavenger hunt at hand. The fingerprints of providence, right? What cognitive care has been set up for us to tell us where we should proceed next? Because we're talking about like an archaeological dig, right? It's like you and I are looking for a dinosaur. Depending upon how old we are, our natural being, our all-natural being, and our superhuman may feel like some dinosaur bones trapped in the rock and dirt. But you and I are on an archaeological dig, right? We don't use a jackhammer, right? Now, I've never been on one of these digs, but I've been to some of the museums where dinosaur bones are displayed, right? Pretty sure they didn't use a jackhammer. Most times, if you watch National Geographic, they're down there with like little wispy like brushes, barely the size of a toothbrush, right? They're moving away the minuscule, getting rid of, right? Like we talked about yesterday, Michelangelo, chisel in hand, all is well. Carving the statue of David. You can use a belt sander, right? A sandblaster. Oh, look, there's his foot. Right? It doesn't go that way. The minuscule. We're going to remove, in our archaeological dig, we're going to remove a little bit each and every 20-minute victory so that we, like Michelangelo, the statue of David, so that we can free the inner champion or championess, right? Whoever you are, you're going to be able to free that, as he said, with chisel in hand, all is well. And you do it by ignoring the critics, right? So we have a new description of them today. I've called them walking, talking Venus flytraps, right? That's what Venus flytraps do. Pits of quicksand, packets of desiccant. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Remember, we want to construct our own safety zone, right? Especially as we start down this path of releasing our inner superhuman. We're brand new to the concept, let's say. We want to have that little barrier to outside opinion and conjecture, right? I think we talked about the phone booth, right? Superman jumping into the phone booth. Batman has his cave. Once we create that for ourselves, that allows us to employ the ability to take in some of the sensorial data that's coming at us and decide, thumbs up, thumbs down, good, bad, right? Is this going to help me unleash my inner superhuman? Or is it just more malarkey Do I ignore it? Just a little more voodoo. Do I keep it out? Don't let it be a pin that gets in and pricks my cushion, right? That's what you got to decide. All right, I want to get to this, though, because this was my another thing that I thought about when we were discussing fear. For me, I just find fear boring, right? What are you scared of? Oh, I'm scared of spiders. What are you afraid of? Oh, I'm afraid of this or that. Ever notice how it doesn't change? It's just tedious and tiresome. The mystery of the moment in hand changes all the time. All the time. But fear, most of our fears, they're like the same thing that we fell asleep with. We wake up, and it's still a phobia. To me, that just seems blah, right? It just seems boring. I say all the time in the open, you're a force of nature. Why fall for the farce of fear? It's not who you are. It's something that you've learned. Now, I know, and look, I would love, I've gotten away from myself. I forgot to mention 331-684-SOUL or 331-684-7685. If you're a psychologist and you want to send me a text or post it on Facebook or Twitter and go, well, Brian, there are some fears that we're born with. People wonder why I have the lists of ists, right? But if you're a psychiatrist or you're a psychologist and you go, well, we all have the fear of falling when we're born. All right. We're not talking about everything. We're talking about within a 20-minute victory. Well, we all have the fear of a loud, sudden noise. No, I would offer that we probably learned some of those fears maybe very, very early on, right? But we adopted them, right? Fears like clothing that we put on. And for some of our fears, we get comfortable in them, right? Like I got a pair of shoes. I'm wearing them right now. Probably had them 5 years. They're very comfortable. Probably trash in my back. No support left in them, right? But they're comfortable. For some of us, fear gets to be the same way. It's comfortable. It's mundane, mediocre, boring, tedious, tiresome. Why not live in the mystery? Because that's always changing, right? That's dynamic. And maybe that's it. Fear is static. There's nothing alive about it. Nothing creative about it. So again, in returning to this concept of making a list of your fears and checking them off one at a time, ask yourself, within your 20-minute victory today, does that make sense? Is fear really boring? Is it beneath me? Of course it is. Now, don't take my word for it, all right? Wait for it to bubble up. Wait for that. I keep going back to this all the time. It's because what I believe. The truly unimaginable power that comes when you live in the present moment, right? This penny, this drop, this moment, as paltry as they are, right? That's when the power comes. And that's why the people that don't want to tap into that power, don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat, Brian. Or curiosity killed the cat. Oh, please. Curiosity didn't kill the cat. The cat has 9 lives because it constantly keeps pushing its curiosity. Right? It stays at its cognitive cutting edge. You can't wait. And I think it's cliche now, so I don't even want to use it, but it just came to mind, so let me throw it out there. Well, the present, Brian, is a present. We have to unwrap it. Yeah, I got to see that, right? Cutting edge cognition, staying in the moment, elite mindlessness, so that you can see the fingerprints, the evidence that's been left there by the divine, however you define it. Big bang, big breath, right? I want to thank all the people that send me the emails telling me that the Big Bang is BS. Thank you very much. Keep them coming. But however you define the divine, it's leaving you clues. It's leaving you hints. People say all the time,
well, I really could use a sign.
The signs are everywhere. What you can lose are your sunglasses, right? What you can lose. Everyone says, I got to get. Everyone wants to get. No one wants to just have what they already have, right? It's a bauble. It's a trinket. It's another attraction within our consumeristic mindsets. right? Well, I need a sign. You get tons of them. Just look down. Look around. When I went out on my run, 22 pennies, right? I'm embarrassed to tell you I don't know what a cost of a stamp is, but 22 pennies could be like halfway the cost of a postage stamp, right? I do everything now with Messenger and emails and everything else, but 22 pennies, that could buy me maybe a stamp. What's a postcard stamp go for? Right? So when you're thrown into the labyrinth of life, Gilbert's ruthless furnace of the world, don't let it bake you, right? Who wants to be a cookie cutter cookie? Don't let it bake you into something that you're not. Just something to think about. We're going to run to a quick break, and then we're back for the final 15 minutes of all natural being here on IPMNation.com. But I bet you already knew that.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Because it's never too late to take your life back.
She's absolutely right. Isn't it a great gig? Life. Right? Don't let fate get in the way of you living it. It's a great gig. Because what's the opposite of this great gig? Doing the horizontal, the ground hug, right? Every morning I wake up, early as it may be now, I'm just thankful that I made it through another night, right? That I'm vertical. That I get to wake up horizontal, but I got the vertical in my immediate future. You got to live every moment like it's your last. And we're going to talk about it tomorrow. Something I focus on a good bit. It's called Was I Me? So if you get a chance tomorrow morning to tune in, or, you can go at 11 Eastern time and listen to the rebroadcast of the show at IPM Nation. But if you're with me tomorrow morning, we're going to talk about the concept, was I me? Right? So I don't want to give away too much, but there'll come a time in your life where you're going to look back and go, did I give this run my best shot? God kept up his end of the bargain. He put me here. Am I living on the A list? Am I bringing my full passion, my buried logic, my authentic vigor, right? My natural resources. Am I bringing those to the game at hand? All right, so let me get over here. I just had also wanted to make mention that I'm trying to do a much better job of making sure the audio is good here. So this morning, it's very comfortable. I wore a hoodie, right? Don't tase me, bro. I wore a hoodie so I wouldn't have to turn on the heat. So hopefully, I haven't gotten a text from anyone yet saying that there's static or we're cutting out. So I want to just let you know that we're going to continue to work on this. And there you go. That's what I'm thinking about. But for right now, I want to look at some of the quotes that are popular, right? We talked yesterday in our lists of aphorisms and different things that you could use. All the positive self-talk. Lao Tzu, remember? Chinese philosopher riding around on the wilderness on his bull. When you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. When you remember who you are, you don't need anything. Then the world's a buffet, right? Lots knew what he was talking about. Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now. Cool book if you get a chance to read it. In today's rush, we all think too much, seek too much, want too much, and we forget about the joy of just being, right? I call it the difference between human beings and human gettings. Human being understands that gratitude is the grease, right, of the human mind. Now you have the human gettings. Gimme, 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 gimme. It's never enough. Never enough. Always the next horizon, right? And I think a lot. You talk about, well, what if we get to heaven one day and we go through the pearly gates? Are you going to go, thinking this heaven, but I saw a brochure a few years back that talked about a seventh heaven, right? If you go to a hotel, the top floor, you got a special key card to get in, right? The executive level. I don't know. I was seeing something with Modern Family, which is wild because I almost said Married with Children because of the lead actor. Is it Ed O'Neill? But, they have at the Excalibur, the executive suite. Imagine getting to the pearly gates. Heaven, however you define it. Imagine getting to the afterlife, however you see it. And I'm not even being content then. Oh, I crossed the finish line. I'm in the afterlife. Yeah, but can I get an upgrade? Any chance you can bump me up to first class? So the difference between human beings that look at the moment and go, I got everything I need. Everything I need. Or the human getting's going, now I need some more trinkets, more baubles. I need some more crap. Need some more goods. I got empty shelves. Got to fill them with something. You ever wonder, though, how tedious, how boring, how tiresome it is to constantly look the divine like a gift horse in the mouth? Oh, thanks, but could I have this or could I have that? And that's why I say all the time, don't get burned by the secret. Oh, if you just picture it in your mind. Talk about the need for true mindlessness. You just picture it in your mind. Picture yourself standing next to your Lamborghini. I read an article sometime ago. There are now secret coaches. People that will coach you how to get out of the moment at hand. Picture yourself in a DeLorean, right? Put that, then draw something, put it in a refrigerator to remind you every day that one day in the future, you're going to have a DeLorean. Well, unless a meteorite hits, right? But you're going to have that DeLorean. Another carrot at the end of the stick. Don't get burned by the secret. You want a secret? You already know it. Everything you need, you've always had. Everything. Now, it may be dormant inside of you, right? Isn't dead. It's inside of you. You come hardwired with this stuff. You're prepackaged, right? Remember Cracker Jacks growing up? The little prize is inside the Cracker Jacks. I don't even know if they still put prizes in Cracker Jacks or prizes in cereal boxes, but remember that little prize? The opposite of batteries not included, right? Ever feel like you're ripped off? You buy one of these cool toys, these cool gigs, and they go, batteries not included. Well, that's not you. Your batteries were included. Your authentic vigor, your buried logic, which you get to exercise, one drop, 1 penny, right? One minuscule at a time. It's prepackaged. It's in you. So don't fall for this constantly dragging yourself outside of the moment. Because elite mindfulness, a.k.a., I hope for you now, mindlessness, is when you're able to just say, you know what, thanks. Now, depending upon your definition, right, scientific or sacred, depending upon your definition, divine as you define it, I like to think of this as gratitude without a target, right? Because I don't want to project onto you my vision. I want you to have your own vision, your own path. However you define it, it's gratitude towards that target. Or in a general way, just gratitude without a target. Just cultivating a sense of thankfulness. That's the grease that sets the human mind in the proper mindset to not only confront the Minotaur in the labyrinth, but to have a hell of a run, right? To remember how cool a gig life really is. Of course, outside of the committee vote, right? Philosophical packets of desiccant, 2 arms, 2 legs, 10,000 opinions as to how you should live your life, right? I think you should put a little sign up that just says out to lunch. No thanks. Not accepting any packages. Not accepting, sorry, the loading zone is closed from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m., whatever it is, right? Mindlessness. Don't take on all this craziness. Don't take on this. William Blake. The doors of perception were cleansed. Everything would appear to us as it already is, infinite. You are a part of that energy, right? And the people that want to dehydrate you, and let's be honest, the portion inside of yourselves that digs being dehydrated, right? Because it takes courage to fight boredom. It really does. And you hear people say, well, how great would it be if we were fearless? Who would want that? The only shot you and I have at exercising our bravery is to confront the fears we recognize. If you're fearless, you'll never have a chance to test your bravery. So you go, oh, I don't know. Oh, no? Bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to square your shoulders with whatever the fingerprints of providence are in the moment, right? And go, thank you, sir. May I have another? That's the key. That's the key. Thich Nhat Hanh says, feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. He talks about conscious breathing being his anchor. Great. All I'm suggesting is when you anchor yourself in this particular moment, this particular infinite that William Blake referenced, then you tap in to the truly unimaginable power that bubbles up in this moment. There's a lot of people that want you tapped into that power. So you have to decide. You're at a crossroad, right? Every moment is your fork in the road, right? Robert Frost, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the road less traveled by. That's made all the difference. You have to decide. Remember, one more myth, sorry, closing minutes. Another Arthurian myth, right? They entered the forest where there was no track nor path. For the follow in the footsteps would have only brought them shame. When the knights set out in search of the Holy Grail, they were following Robert Frost's advice, right? They took the road less traveled. That made all the difference. But other people don't want you taking the road less traveled, right? They want you taking the superhighway, the expressway, the L train, to their definition of how you should live your life. Now, I'm not saying all these people, I'm not saying other people are being necessarily mean to you. You have to decide, right? Takes 2 to toxic. You decide. Advice, good, bad, ugly. It's up to you. All right, I want to thank a bunch of people before we get ready to go and remind you again, tomorrow morning was me. And of all the things I get an opportunity to talk about over the opening 10 days, this to me is one of the big ones. But now, thank yous. There's so many people, and you know what? I don't want to get in the habit of reading names as I thought I just would, because there's so many people that some have obviously reached out and don't like me because of yesterday's list. Keep them coming. But for all the people that have reached out and said some really nice things and have let me know how they're already adopting 20-minute victories into their own life, I really appreciate the time to reach out and to let me know. I truly do. All right, so we got to go. But until next time, just remember who you are. Remember all the natural resources you already possess, right? Your buried logic, your authentic vigor, your ability to pull, your unique ability to pull the sword from your own stone. So no more limitations, no more excuses, no more unhappiness. What is there to be unhappy about? Should you feel off center or out of balance, stressed or sad, just simply remember who you are. No more shaming, no more character assassination, no more maligning yourself. You are here to release your unique brand of brilliance. So let's get to it. Until next time, we'll catch up. Don't forget, Twitter, @Brian Brawdy. You can leave us messages here at IPMNation.com. also on Facebook. And remember, I'm on your side, even when you're not. Have a great day. Looking forward to hanging out with you tomorrow morning.
You've been listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy.
Join us live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern.
Also, check us out around the clock at allnaturalbeing.com.
Until then, always remember to bring your own bold.
Boy, that water was tasty.
IPMNation.com.